Right.
Probation is the least transparent agency in state government, as I experience it. And I've been trying to get information about probation for some while.
Rarely does a major organization like this, with the tentacles that it have, become, except as a leadership issue, the culture of the place became, for whatever reason, that you had to know somebody to get the positions, that it was who you knew, not what you knew, and it was isolated from review. It was secret, it was behind closed doors.
I hear DOC is like this too.
No,
That
DOC I can penetrate, but
that there are a lot of patronage jobs there too.
I think that probably goes back a long while as well.
And this isn't just about patronage. It's about how their dollars are being spent and how criminal justice and law enforcement are being delivered. This is where I think all the leaders being responsible for this is important. They are, in my view, asking to be held accountable for making this happen.
Leadership is important, and people with power and leadership. So I wonder, LaToya, what would you like to see the NAACP doing after this election?
Well, I get letters all the time about Basic Black at NECN, which is so funny. And you know who watches us? A lot of members, a lot of the Black community who are now at Suffolk County, at Walpole. Yep. Young brothers, young sisters who want some type of reform. They feel like they're being oppressed. They feel like they want to improve themselves, and that the leadership in the prison system is squashing their voice.
I don't want a prison system shrouded in secrecy. I want it to be transparent. Frankly, I want the prisoners to be known, seen, and understood by their family members and loved ones, because that's a part of their rehabilitation.
This is one of maybe 2 or 3 things that keeps me up at night. It's not fear, it's frustration with sorting out how we deal, particularly with the issue of youth violence.
I think what you see out there is disregard for human life. We got a lot of these folks coming out of incarceration that have no jobs. That's another piece of it. It's part of the fabric of people today. They don't have the respect for human life as we had, and the guns. And some of these kids, I'll tell you honestly, have lost hope.
I've had 2 sessions now with a group of mothers who have lost children.
You want to know how to fix something? Talk to the people that are most impacted by what you're trying to fix, and then we put some policy in place.
Their focus is really on those folks I talked about earlier in the program who are in jail today, who have been violent, who are coming out.
And we incarcerate these men and act like they're not a part of the community, and then they come back into the community uneducated, their attitudes are not adjusted, and then you have more violence. And we have to not forget these men and women who are incarcerated.
And how angry they are and how unprepared they are to come back out and join productive society. And to think about it, I stopped them at one point and I said, what an extraordinary thing. You are talking about how it is we deal with the very people who perpetrated the crime that you were trying to heal from. It's an extraordinary act of grace. And the response from one of them was, this is a practical response, because if we don't get this right, then every other mother's child is in jeopardy as well.
Counselor Turner has for decades served those who are most marginalized in the community, people that most people ignore or forget, people who are in prison systems, people who are destitute. That's an important role. Now, Chuck's not the only one that can do that, and there are others who need to step up and have stepped up and who are doing that.
In terms of the prison system, it's one of the national priorities. And there's so many fronts to just that issue, whether it's dealing with the abuse within the system. I had a conversation with some staff in the city council over the last few months about some of the abuses of the prisoners in the prison system. That conversation needs to be addressed. Is also the issue of the reentry. Right. There's a group of folks that I've been meeting with, and they're starting a program called Road to Redemption. Right? So what do we do with these young men when they come out? Because so many of them are returning. They're my family members, uncles, nephews, cousins. So it's a passion of mine and a mission of those that I'm bringing into NAACP to work on that.
And I think that as a part of that, we ought to be looking at how we create a more modern and effective step-down system for people who are released from incarceration, because 97 or 98% of those in jail come out one day. And frequently they come out more dangerous than they were when they went in.
A lot of it is about the prison system, though. That is a hopeless situation. There is nothing redeeming or in any way rebuilding about prison life.
Well, you know what? I will tell you, I think that we used to be known in Massachusetts for having a very forward-looking, effective reentry system and strategy. And it's been replicated in other parts of the country while we decided to turn in a different direction. And I think it's time for us to examine whether that direction we've been heading in is the right one. We warehouse people today. But, you know, I'm very clear-eyed about the challenges that come with winning. You know, we're making progress, but as I've said to you before and said on this show before, the second term is about finishing what we started.